Sir, there's a GC right there, Cliff.
Go.
It's piers. They got concrete piers and wood piers.
Yes, sir.
Checklist. Check out the checklist. We
Yes,
got it for everything we need.
Yes, sir.
Right, you forget some things sometimes. So this is going to outline, make sure you hit every single thing. What's the foundation, plumbing, electric, painting, flooring, everything. So you don't miss anything.
Okay.
You want to make sure you get all your checks.
Okay. I want to introduce you guys to Cliff Hunter. Cliff is a world-renowned flipper. He actually flips. He's also a GC as well. He's a good contractor. When it comes to all of our renovations, all over the nation, you'll talk to this guy right here.
What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
What it do, baby? It's your partners Cliff and Dale back in the saddle again for another edition of Real Estate Friday training, guys, where you kind of tune in for us, man, and get some free training on all things real estate. Cliff, what's going on with you, baby? How you doing, big time? What's up with you, baby?
Man, doing good. Have another good week. Man, can't complain. We've seen the market kind of make some changes, but it's doing good.
A little bit. Yes, sir, man. Did we get the bag though?
Man, great. Got the bag this week.
Yes, sir. I got me one too, man. I got another big one coming as well. Also, don't we got a closing, Cliff, in about 7 days?
Yeah. We trying to get that thing closed out, man. So we at the finish line now.
It's finish line, and we had another one where we actually began also around the corner from the one we did the first one, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay, so we had the GC crew going on that one. They're about 2 weeks from being done with that one, and then we're looking at another 3 additional in that same area, right, Cliff?
Yeah, trying to pick up more.
And Cliff, we got 7 apartment complexes coming in Michigan. 7, 1,800 units total out of the 7. And so we out here, guys. The deals are out here, guys. I understand you get a lot of bad news. We always begin with what's going on with the markets. You have to know what's going on so you can know what to do. But man, if you guys could share, right? If you could share all you can, and subscribe if you actually finding some good value here, man. Cliff, let's dive into it, man. You know how we begin every single week, guys. And also, guys, to the top left hand side, you see what it says, Cash Flow Club. We get asked all the time, how can we get trained? Scan on the QR code right there, or look below in the link. You'll see the same thing, guys. That's the Cash Flow Club. But Cliff, man, tell them, Doc, what's going on in the market, man? What you're seeing, big dog? What's going on?
Man, I'm starting to see a lot more purchases on the market. So a lot more people are trying to actually put offers on homes. I haven't seen too much of a move in inventory. Inventory is still low. I still think it's until you see them interest rates drop, you're gonna see the inventory stay the way it is.
Yep.
I think those two things are tied. So right now, if you're looking to buy a home, you're only looking at maybe a third of what's normally in the market. So your options are limited right now.
Okay. Are you seeing that more? Are you seeing that more in what price range are you seeing that in?
400. I would say 400 to about 700,000.
Now, in that range, is it properties moving fairly quickly, or is it more of a long-term stay right there when it comes to days on the market?
I mean, days on market. So I'm saying the closer you get to about 400,000, you're probably in that 35, something like that, 35, 45. Then you look at 45 to maybe 75. Once you go to about 100, 650, 700K, and then you get above that. That's when you hit the 90-day plus. You want 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, if something like that.
Now, are you seeing in certain geographic areas? I'm going to use Dallas as an example. So there's more movement, let's say in a Mesquite or a South Dallas. versus moving in a Frisco or a Plano?
Yeah, prices are increasing. If you go North Dallas, those prices are increasing. I mean, they moving. So even if you're on the higher end, like if you go to Highland Park, uh, even though those properties are expensive, 1.7,
Sure.
2, the days on market are crazy. They're like 15 days.
Is because of those people that's buying those, are those more cash buyers?
A lot more cash buyers going in those areas.
Okay.
And it's highly sought, right? Everybody wants to move in there. If you got money, some people move to Frisco with who got
Sure.
money, some people move to
Sure.
Prosper, but most of the people who got money move to Highland Park.
Gotcha. Now let's go to another state like, let's say, a Florida or a California. What differences from an analysis standpoint do you see in properties in, let's say, California versus Florida? What are you kind of seeing there?
Right? The prices are crazy in California. I mean,
Mm,
I think I saw a property that came up. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, I think 1,300 square feet, and it was going
okay.
for 950,000
Whoa. What?
in California. Yeah, I
1,300
think
square feet?
1,300 square feet.
It's the size of one. That's the size of one of my rooms. I'm sorry, but damn, about two of my rooms. So wow.
Yeah,
That's,
about that.
I mean, a 322 down here, Cliff, in Dallas. What's something like that selling for?
It depends on where you're at, but you're probably at 1,300. You're probably at close to around 300K.
$300,000. Yeah, yeah. California, man, and I'm seeing also in Miami. Miami's seeing a spike as well, and the longer it is on the market, I'm seeing a lot more homeowners flipping over to an Airbnb type of scenario. But they're charging crazy amounts per day. I saw one property, Cliff, it was like a 322 or 422 in Miami. The Airbnb was what, Cliff? It was $14,000 a day.
Mm.
I'm like, what the? I'm sorry, forgive me, 14,000 a month. And I'm like, what is this? That didn't make any sense. It's the price points in Miami are going up. I'm not saying in Fort Lauderdale, but in Miami, some areas of Fort Lauderdale going toward Miami. If you're going a little bit more farther north in Florida, the price points are beginning to even out a little bit. But Miami is severely inflated right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's a different market out there, man. Both those markets are just different. So you always got to know your market a little bit. Take a
Yeah,
look at what's in your neighborhood
yeah.
and talk to a realtor so you can stay on top of it, see what's going on.
Yeah, and always, guys, confirm the comparables. Ask for comparables, but make sure that the comparables that you actually pull, guys, are half mile to a mile. Really, half mile to a mile within it. And we'll go into that in a little bit when we go into an appraisal, guys. We're going to walk through a literal appraisal for one of the properties we actually owned and renovated, and we exited out right now when it comes to long-term debt. So we're going to walk through that, and you're going to see, and pictures as well. You're going to see what we did. Carl, how you doing, Carl? What's going on, baby? But man, let's dive in this real fast, guys. The affordability crisis in the U.S., guys. We have to dive into this real quickly, man. Let's go to our kinfolk, our people over at Valuetainment. They're going to walk through the affordability crisis of what's going on in the U.S., guys. Let's dive in this. Here we go.
A Federal Reserve survey reveals that 64% of parents with children under the age of 18 felt financially secure in 2023, down from 69%.
Wow.
Making it the lowest level since data collection began in 2015. Overall, 72% of U.S. households reported being financially okay, the lowest since 2016, with inflation cited as a major concern. Inflation was which peaked at 9% in June of 2022 and was 3.4% in April of 2023, remains a significant issue, with 35% of respondents naming price hikes as their main financial worries. Additionally, 65% of adults say high prices worsened their financial situation, while only 34% report an increase in income. Anyways, survey highlights that 19% of households fell behind on rent in 2023, up from 17% in 2022. I mean, these are basic numbers you're looking at.
Whoa.
With a median rent increase by 10% to $1,100, the percent of adults being able to cover a $400 emergency expense dropped from 68% to 63%. This is problematic. When you look at something like this, Tom, what do you think about?
So it's exactly what we were just talking about. And the last podcast, I got in trouble because people thought I was picking on my brother. But now I'm going to move it to my cousin.
Tom, don't do it again.
I'm not going to do it again. Do it to my cousin. And it's exactly what Dan said. To the average person, you need to look at inflation this way. You have a cousin who's now 350 pounds, and he says, good news, I stopped gaining weight. But wait, you're still 350 pounds. At any moment, you could have a stroke or a heart attack and die.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly the inflation story here. And that's what people are saying is like, we're feeling the cumulative pinch. And the funny thing is, we didn't have the video on it, but one of the things that Solomon says, the financial sector needs to understand from the inflation is not just nominal, it's cumulative. And so everything is more expensive. And you're seeing the consumer, the average America, feel it and stop spending. And so what's going on?
So Cliff, what I'm kind of seeing a lot of times when it comes to commentary about this is this topic of inflation is year over year. I keep hearing year over year, but they don't talk about the cumulative or the compounding effect of inflation. Why do you think that these individuals really on TV, really, they kind of lean a little bit liberal, but also you have some conservatives want to do this as well, only look at inflation from a 12-month time frame versus the cumulative effect of every 24 months, which is how it's supposed to be done?
I think they're just trying to. I think they're doing it in terms of stock price.
Okay.
They're looking at it in terms of the different companies and how much money, what they're looking at in terms of those companies,
Sure.
what their prices are, what they have to pay their contractors, their employees.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking at it from that perspective, and they're just wondering from this point, what are they thinking forward? 3% or 4% going forward in terms of the inflation rate. The reason why no one's talking about the accumulation of all the inflation is because it's hard to explain.
How is it hard to explain?
Because it's hard to explain when you say to someone, inflation rate is going down. It is. It's gone down. And they say, then why are prices still high?
Yes.
And that's what I mean, because it's the rate of inflation is down. Not what you're talking about, which is the accumulation of that interest rate. Or I'm sorry, of that inflation rate. Sure.
I kind of disagree. I think it's easy to explain because if you begin with the foundation of inflation is accumulative. That means every 2 years it is actually measured, right? So that kind of explains, okay, now I see why price points are up. What I'm hearing a lot of commentary on TV, they'll say, well, that's about the inflation rate change, right? So it's a change versus pricing. That is the kind of the discussion here. And so a lot of the commentary on TV is it's changed because it was at 9. Now it's at 3. Now it's at 3.5. Now it's at 3.9. That is the change that a lot of the commentary is about. But they don't talk about the pricing is still high, which is what people are saying. Wait a minute.
Right.
You're telling me it's 3.9, but why is a phone that cost $100 for me to buy, now it's $113? Because actually $112 because it was 9% in 2022. It was another 3%, and I'm rounded up 3%. Now you're at 112. You're telling me a change, but because with these numbers, but the pricing is still high. That is what I think it is kind of being missed. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, they don't want to. They don't want to go into that because they have to. That would be telling everybody prices are not going down.
No, they're not.
They're just going to go up slower. That's it.
Yes.
I mean, because most people don't know that the typical inflation rate is like 3%.
Correct.
2. They try to go for 2, but it fluctuates 2 to 3.
Correct.
That's normal. That's what they. That's why when you look back, I always use a Coke bottle as an example.
Sure.
If you look at a Coke, you see it in the 1920s. They got 5 cents.
Correct.
The Coke bottle and the Coke ingredients are the same.
Exactly.
It's the same. But now when you go to the store, it's $2.50.
Correct.
and it's not that the bottle changed, it's that the money we printed has gone up. The inflation rate of that Coke bottle is continuing to go up. By the time, um, your kids have kids, that Coke bottle gonna be $5. They're gonna walk into a
Right.
store, it's gonna be a $5 for a Coke.
Correct. I agree with that 100%, Cliff. So I hear what you're saying. What you're saying is it's kind of hard to explain it to people, but I think it's not really that hard to really not explain. Is do you want to tell the truth? Because you're telling me a certain interest a certain inflationary rate, but the price is just telling me something totally different, and I'm feeling what you're not telling me. So just tell me the truth, and let's come together and then prescribe a solution to tackle the problem. Don't BS me. That's all I'm saying. If that makes some sense. It makes some sense.
Oh yeah, they're gonna try to make themselves look good. That's all what they're gonna try to do. But I mean, it's just like you said, it's the information is the information, right? It's either
It
right or
is.
it's not.
It is. You are spot on, Cliff. Now, Cliff, man, let's dive into this real fast. Now, Cliff and I have been talking about when it comes to inflation. We've been talking about how to deal with the problem of inflation, right, Cliff? The one thing you've been talking about is okay, we gotta cut the rates. The Fed has to pivot to cut the rates, right?
Hmm.
And you say because if it doesn't, it's going to wound the economy more. And I can say, okay, I can see that. But Cliff, what if the Fed has been doing something behind the scenes and we just ain't seen it yet? And what if there's a conflict between the federal government and the Federal Reserve, and there is a competition of infusing capital or liquidity into the economy in the next 6 months? It's called a hack.
Hmm.
Man, that's walking to this guy. This right here, guys. When I saw this, guys, this is the government's plan to hack the economy in 6 months. When you see this, right? At this point, you need to get your pens and pads, guys, because this is going to be oddly familiar to something that actually happened a short while ago in the early 2000s, guys. Let's look at what they're going to do real quickly, and then what we can do is dive right into this thing. Let's get this thing. Here we go. Let's go.
But we can see that it's not a pivot. They're getting liquidity into the system any way they can. But right now, there's a brand new way they're doing it. And the government, the Treasury, has eyed a brand new $32 trillion pool of liquidity they're about to tap into. Now, this is a pretty big deal, and it's completely independent of anything the Fed can do because it's a government policy change. And I'm talking about homeowner equity. All right? So the reason why a lot of analysts have gotten this wrong, some of the guys that I really respect, like Harry Dent Jr., for example, I've read 5 of his books. His research is amazing. But they fail to consider how many more tricks up the sleeve the government and the Fed can have. And most people, including myself, we didn't think about these things. These are things like, this is another trick up the sleeve. Oh, let's tap into homeowner equity. Let's inject that into the market. So how are we doing that? Well, what we can see is that what they've done is they've filed a new proposal, Freddie Mac. So the government basically provides liquidity for home loans through Fannie, Freddie, and now Ginnie. Okay, so these are like government-backed programs for mortgages. And they filed a proposal for a purchase of single-family closed-end second mortgages. Okay, so
Cliff, second mortgages, FHA, Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie. Does that make sense, Cliff?
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay.
they issue first mortgages, but now they want to do second mortgages. That means they want to allow all these homeowners that have equity in their homes to tap into that equity, get it out of their home, and start spending it into the market. All right, now the agency that's going to approve this is the Federal Housing Finance Agency. And it says right here, Freddie Mac is to purchase certain single-family, closed-end second mortgages as a new product. Now, that's a pretty big deal. How does it get the $32 trillion out there? Well, one thing that we can see right here is the amount of homeowner equity. Okay, so there was a little bit of equity in homes right here. Obviously, 2006, 2007, before the 2008 crash, we had a lot. But what we can see is from this peak right here to the point right here, we've seen equity go up. Here we had about 14.3, and right here today we're at about 32.3. So what this means is that homeowner equity, the amount of equity in homes has gone up by what is that? 130%.
Mm.
So we're sitting on about $30 trillion of equity, which is amazing. So if we can just pull some of those, couple of those $1 trillion out, inject it to the market, we can get more liquidity, and there's nothing the Fed can do about it. Now, let's just take a historical view to understand.
Now, Cliff, so far, what are your thought process on that so far?
Seems like a bad investment.
Now, why is that?
I mean, a second lien is not bad, but it's just it's more risky. And so for the government to get involved in riskier loans is just, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, they just need to do the right thing, go back, use what's already traditional, what we know works, open up the economy, allow money to flow, cut back on spending, and let the economy just solve its own issues. Their interjection is the problem, not the solution.
I got you. Now, Cliff, what we can do here, man, is I'm hearing you, and what you're saying is spot on. And we'll go back to the video because he goes a little bit deeper. That's Mark Moss, guys. Follow him. Now, here's the thing that I see, Cliff, is this here is you're correct when it comes to this, because if in order for your plan to work, Cliff, the government would have to stop printing, and they're not. Even the Fed is still selling T-bills to this day, and it's equal to when they were selling during COVID in 2020. So 2023, the unloading of T-bills is the exact same level as 2020 during COVID. So both of them are defying financial standards, the Federal Reserve and the government. So now you're seeing the government saying, hey, hold on, wait a minute. Let's go ahead and tap into this $32 trillion type of thing. The only way the Fed can cut the rates, Cliff, is if the government stops printing. But the Fed knows the government's not going to stop printing at all. They know that. So they're playing other tricks. So now we're seeing what the government's doing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it still don't matter. They still they have to figure out a way to cut the rates. They have to. The debt is too expensive. And if we're going to print, like you said, they can't stop printing. We know we're going to print. You cannot print at high interest rates. That's the problem. If you look back at Janet Yellen, when she first came in, and she was saying that we could spend all this money from during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
She was saying we should spend it now while interest rates are low.
Yeah.
Now that they're high, it's hurting everybody, even the government, because we're paying all this interest. So they have to find a way. We can't sustain these levels because the government, I think we had the debt clock on last week, and it was something like 600 billion, 700 billion a year.
Correct.
Interest.
Correct.
If you cut the interest rates in half, that gets cut in half.
It does. It does, guys. But that only works, Cliff, if the government stops printing, and they will not.
No. We have to inflate. Buy assets. We have to inflate ourselves. If we're going to pay down the debt, or at least make it sustainable, we have to have lower interest rates, and we have to make our current debt seem small compared to the current market.
I agree.
Which means we got to inflate and we have to cut. How do you do that?
Now watch this, Cliff. Let's keep going. He's going to go into the historical view. And I want people to pay attention to this, man, because it's going to seem very familiar what happens next. Here we go.
Understand what kind of impacts this might have. So, for example, in 2007, sort of at the height of the last bubble before the great financial crash happened, there was about $700 billion of second loans outstanding. Okay, to set a preference. Now today we have about only 350 billion.
Okay.
So people haven't been tapping into this for any number of reasons, partly because the banks don't make them readily available.
Yes.
Back in 2005, 6, 7, they were just trying to give everybody as much money as they could. People were going buying second, third homes, all these different.
Notice years, 2005, 6, 7. Sound familiar? Let's keep going.
investments with that money, or even living off of it, pools, cars, whatever it may be. And so everyone was taking that money to the tune of $700 billion. And even though home prices have gone up, even though home equity has gone up, the amount of outstanding seconds is actually half of what it was before.
Correct.
Now, it should have gone up. What we can see since that time period of here about 2006, 2007, home prices have gone up by about 70%. Your home was worth about 70% more than it was back in 2006 or 7. But again, home equity has gone up by about 130%. But the amount of people tapping into that, like I said, is about half of that.
Correct.
Okay? We can see here Bank of America, which is one of the major leaders in kind of providing these secondary mortgage loans, cut their mortgage loans, second loans, from $150 billion they had on their books down to only $25 billion. So it was a massive amount of liquidity drain that's come out of that. Now, this is sort of, like I said, stuck liquidity.
Yes,
right?
stuck.
$32 trillion of it. The government, the Treasury, they want as much liquidity into the system as they can, but they're sort of being held back by the Fed, because the Fed's like, nope, we need to get 2% inflation before we reduce any, put any more money in. Now, what we can see is that in 2022, if we want to start to calculate how much liquidity could we really see maybe this year coming into the market, well, we know in 2022, about 50% of the mortgage loans that were done were what we call non-traditional banks.
Yes.
All right. Now, the reason why that's important is because these non-traditional financial institutions, they don't have the assets to keep this onto their books.
They don't.
So they have to sell these loans in the secondary market to Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie. So they originate the loan and then they sell it to the government, basically. All right. Now, the reason why that's important is because there's a very well-oiled machine on the back end for mortgage-backed securities, or MBS. Now, you might be familiar with MBS if you know what happened in 2008, or maybe you've watched that movie, The Big Short. If you haven't watched that movie, The Big Short, I'd highly recommend it. And so basically they take these mortgage products and they package them up into securities, and they trade them, they sell them on Wall Street. So that's already all built. There's massive liquidity ready to absorb these mortgage-backed securities if it can only get there. And that's exactly what we're talking about. So now with this proposal change, we can package these up from the government, we can securitize them, and they can be sold, bought and sold in Wall Street and provide massive liquidity. Okay, so how much? We're going to talk about how much and how soon, but first let's understand some of these.
Watch this, Cliff.
So what are the potential downsides of all this liquidity? I mean, there's obviously the most obvious answer, which is more liquidity equals more inflation. Okay, so that's the battle, right? The Fed doesn't want the inflation. The government, the Treasury, they'll take it. I'd like to know what you think about this. I think that most people would rather have inflation and still have enough money, still have their jobs, still see their home values or stock values higher, and just deal with higher prices. I think more people would rather have that. Or would they rather see prices crash down and the prices of gas and food actually comes down a little bit? Let me know, just comment down below. Would you rather see inflation, or would you rather see asset prices higher and inflation, or would you rather see inflation going down? Let me know. I think they'll see more inflation. So that's the obvious. But what are some of the other unintended consequences? Well, for example, it's going to put borrowers into more debt. So right now, my home is worth, I don't know, $300,000, I owe $150,000. So I have $150,000 of debt. But if I tap into some of that equity, my debt levels go up. So now I have more debt. But what's the problem with that? Well, more debt, more leverage, more risk. So for example, if the market turns down, maybe I don't have any equity left in my house and I can't sell it. Instead of being able to sell my house, now maybe it goes into foreclosure. We know that the elderly are very at risk right now. They're very susceptible to inflation. And so they could be potential targets. We know costs have gone through the roof. Homeowners insurance, for example, took a big jump up here.
Sure did.
And it kind of stayed at this new baseline. And here, homeowners insurance is going up. If you own a home, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On average, it's gone up about 11%. But in California, Florida, Texas, places like that, it's gone up way more than that. And so what we know is that we already have people sort of on the brink here. We can see that right now today, about 23% of consumer debt is held by the elderly. Now that's a big number. That's actually doubled just since 1999. And so the elderly are sort of at risk in this environment. So they might be wanting to tap into this. But again, if anything were to happen in the economy, these people could be at risk. Okay, another potential risk.
So Cliff, man, brother, what you think, brother? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Yeah, it seems like a bad idea.
Mm.
I don't know why we would try to put more people into debt. And I like I said, I think about the inflation thing. Everybody's I don't think inflation is not going to last forever. I think the amount of money that we put into the system is rare. We've already seen it come down from 9 to 3. Now I get that's artificial. It's probably closer to 5. Let's be honest. It's probably close to 5. If they did it on the way it used to be, it would probably be about 5.
The inflation rate?
Right.
I think it's higher than that.
Because I'm just kind of taking a look at this year. It's going to average out about 3 or so, probably maybe 4, and then year before that's 9, right? Maybe 6, something like that. But I'm saying maybe 5.5, something like that.
So
So
are you doing a cumulative, or are you just saying 9 down to 3? Because I look at it as cumulative.
if you look at a cumulative, you could start it when we started printing money in 18. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
1915.
rocking with you. Yeah, I'm rocking with you.
We'd be at 1,000%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm rocking with you. I'm just using the same metrics that was used 4 years ago. It's now the metrics have changed from every 24 months to every 12 months.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If you measured it over 24 months, we're probably closer to 5% on the interest
Okay.
rate. That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking. So we're not actually close to 2. We had to change it
Mm-hmm.
to where now we're at. But I think I still think it's gonna continue to trend down over time. But I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be hard where we're at now. 3% is gonna be hard to crack. I think that's where we're at. And we're gonna have to adjust and get ready for 3% being the new standard. I think it's gonna be very hard to get down to 2. And
Sure.
it could take longer than they want. So maybe they're coming out with other programs because they're realizing getting 2 is going to be very difficult. Once I think they hit maybe a 2.7, that's going to be their trigger.
Mm. Mm. Well, I think that we're gonna have more inflation because they will not stop printing. They can't. So the Fed is the only way they can pivot is realistically is if Congress curtails the spending. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why you see the tricks going on behind the scenes, both on the government side and on the Fed side to try to infuse liquidity into it. Now with this idea, I think, Cliff, this is the worst idea ever. This is the same thing they did, that's repackaged, that they did back in 2008, 7, 6, and 5. It's the same thing. You lower the credentials to get a loan, right? Whether it be senior or junior, right? You wrap that into government backed, in other words, government insurance, right? Right? To where the government insures the senior and the junior debt. And then what happens is you allow for them to leverage that untapped equity in there with the junior debt, which is fine. And then what triggers mine is that type of scenario does not that's good for the bank because of the fact that the bank can make a whole bunch of origination fees twice on the senior and the junior debt. So they're making a whole bunch of fees while the debt service or the debt load for the consumer is going up, and they already owe a lot of debt. Credit card debt, and with the cost of goods and services going up as well also. Then what you got, Cliff, is which is kind of the creme de la creme, is you are selling us to Wall Street in mortgage-backed securities. Sound familiar? What invests in mortgage-backed securities? Retirement accounts. So you're gonna have retirement accounts investing into Fund A, Fund B, Fund C, and then Fund D, and Fund D has the security for all 4 of those funds is the mortgage-backed security. This is going to be a train wreck, a shit show. It's the same thing they did back in the early 2000s, just repackaged. This is not good at all.
Yeah, it just seems like a bad idea. But they're trying because basically what they're saying is they know you got equity from inflation,
Wow.
and we know you can't sell because of the interest rates. So here's a loan against your assets that
Yes.
get you moving, so you have access to that capital. It's a workaround.
Now that'd be different if you did that and you had a renter or a transaction in place to cover the debt service and make cash flow. Different story. Different story. Now I'm rocking with you. Okay, no problem with it at all. But if this is a retail borrower, got a problem now. Got a problem now.
Yeah, I think
Problem.
it's gonna be hard because I think in Texas you can only get up to 80%.
Correct.
They won't even
Correct.
allow you to do it. So I think Louisiana allows you to go up to 100 and something, 110.
110?
I think it's 110%.
Oh my God. And I think it's the same scenario in California. I think Florida, you can go up to, I think there's 80%. In Florida's 80%, and I may be wrong, but I think Texas is the most aggressive.
Yeah.
They're the most aggressive, which is pretty cool. Y'all, this is something. Whether you are a seasoned or novice investor, we all know that with uncertain times or volatile times, that creates opportunities. Now, with these new opportunities, only the implementation of the correct strategies will separate that average investor from that great investor. There are 3 strategies that, if implemented the right way with the correct team around you, any investor can go from 0 to 6 figures, maybe even 7 figures in the next 12 to 24 to 36 months. Click on the link below or swipe up and let's talk through these strategies. Man, Cliff, let's dive into this this appraisal stuff, guys. You guys here for the appraisal stuff, man. It's Cliff, man. Let me ask you this question. As a licensed appraiser, how often do you encounter bad appraisers?
I rarely work with other appraisers, so I'm an independent. So I don't really see too many other times. The only times I see it is when a past appraisal was done,
Okay.
and the person may send it to me as a reference.
Okay. A reference. Gotcha. Now, typically when you get those references on that appraisal report, are these good references or are they terrible references?
I mean, most of it, I've had one. So the most recent one I can think of is one that it was we came to the same value, which was interesting. We both came to the same value, but it was wild to see. I think they had 3 comps that were like 16 miles away, and that was wild for me to see. I'm like 16. All mine were within I think on 2 miles.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's the last one I saw, but it was we both came to the same value though.
Okay. Gotcha. So Cliff, before we dive into appraisals, guys, one of the things that I talk about, and I've been getting a lot of phone calls concerning bad appraisals from bankers and investors like, "Dale, how do I overcome an appraiser that gives me a bad appraisal?"
But I'll say this: everybody thinks their appraisal that's not their number is bad. They think it's worth $1 million. And if it doesn't say $1 million, for example, on the one example I gave you where I did an appraisal, came to a value.
Mm-hmm.
The other appraiser, they sent me their copy. I looked at it. It was a little different than I would do. We came to the same valuation. They said, "You're both wrong." Like, okay.
How can both of you guys be wrong if you came to the same valuation?
And we were independent. I never met this person. 2 independent appraisers came to I'm talking about the same number. Not a $5,000 differdifference. I'm talking about the exact same number. And they say, "Oh, you're both." So people always think their house is worth more. Because a lot of times I see is they don't look at it objectively.
Gotcha. Here's my question to you though, for those that actually encounter bad appraisers. How do you overcome encountering a bad appraiser?
I guess I would have to see like what makes it bad. What makes the appraisal bad? Okay,
let's walk through a bad appraisal before.
Well, I would be careful about showing the whole report and all the different details. I would be careful about that.
Gotcha. On that appraisal report, because I want to make sure that I am very cognizant. Which pages would you think would be wise to show?
I mean, you could show the first page.
The first page, to the introduction page,
right?
Okay, with the address. Gotcha. Okay, I'll do that, guys, and then we'll walk through this. All right, I have to be very careful with this because of people and their identities. All right, guys. So here is an appraisal, guys, of a property that Cliff and I actually acquired, guys. Our team acquired. It's a property in Jackson, Mississippi. As you can see, guys, it was in crappy condition. I mean, it was bad. The condition. Am I right, Cliff? Or am I wrong, brother?
Nah, man, it was Toro.
Cliff, how much did we buy this property for?
Like around 15,000.
15,000. How much we put in there as far as the scope of work?
About 40.
About 40,000. Gotcha. So we're all in roughly about 55,000, right?
Right.
Gotcha. What's the afterpay value on this?
But 110.
110. Did we when it comes to scope of work, did we renovate it to a retail type of model? In other words, we didn't go cheap on everything. Am I right?
No. You want to do probably standard grade on these.
Standard grade. Gotcha. And what was wrong with this property, Cliff?
Man, everything. So we had siding issues, roof issues, foundation. There was basically no bathroom.
Sure.
Kitchen needed to be completely remodeled. The bathroom was really ground up.
Yeah.
Plumbing, electrical, everything.
Gotcha. And let me do this here, guys. Let me show you what the condition of it was real quickly. And while Cliff, I'm talking about this, Cliff. Now, Cliff, did we encounter an appraiser that was not as good as he needed to be? Would that be kind of right to conclude?
Yeah, I think what happened on this one was he appraised it with a thought process in mind of what we were going to do with the property that was not equal to what we were planning on doing. And we didn't know that till we spoke with him. And he said, well, a lot of people do these basic rehabs and they just kind of cleaned it up. And when we spoke, it was like, did you read the scope of work? It says new kitchen. That's not cleaned up. It says new bathroom, new roof. That's when he was way off in terms of thinking that it was just going to be a basic rehab, even though the place was tore up.
Yeah, and here's some pictures of it, guys, real quick. And I'm gonna go back and forth, guys, because I have to be very selective. Here is the front of it. Here's the back. Here's the back. Right here's the back of it. All right, guys. Here is the street. Let me show you something else as well, guys. Here is. Let me go. Let me go to the inside. Here's the inside of the house, real quickly, guys. You can see the inside as well. It was a mess. This was a mess. This was a mess. That was, again, kitchen, living room, den. Then you actually had that's the bathroom, bedrooms. It was bad. Let me show you the bathrooms real quick as well. And we're going to show you the pictures of it as well. Here we go. When we get it done. Here is the bathroom, guys. Here's one of the pictures of the bathroom. And then that'd be it for the pictures there. Right there. It's one of the bathrooms right there. That's the flooring. Damaged, bathroom floor damaged, unsafe to get closer. So the appraiser could not at all walk into that bathroom because the flooring was so bad. It was so bad. So when me and Cliff say it was bad, it was bad, Cliff. Now, Cliff, when we first encountered this appraiser, right? Yes, you're correct. He actually had some assumptions on what it should be. How did we overcome that type of exchange with that appraiser and do it in a way to where the appraiser actually updated the appraisal to the proper value that we needed? How do we do that?
Just breaking down. So, for example, it was a misunderstanding of what he thought the valuation was based on. If he's thinking it, and that's another problem when you do appraisals on ARV, is a lot of times people put not enough money in their budget and they think that I should get this big valuation, but
yes,
$25,000 doesn't get you that far.
No,
like it's not going to get you the outcome. You need to spend 50 if you're talking about doing high-end upgrades.
Correct.
So I think he did, when he looked at it, he thought that we were doing some basic upgrades and we were doing a whole home renovation, new roof, foundation, flooring, everything. So his assumption was wrong. And the second problem was that he didn't include that assumption in the report. It was missing. He should have said, this is based on a moderate update. This is based off basic. Then we could go, it's not moderate, it's severe upgrade. This is 40 racks. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. So, and me and Cliff were on the phone line with this appraiser. It wasn't contentious at all, guys. It was an easy conversation. But the good thing is it was an appraiser to appraiser discussion. If that makes sense. Right. It wasn't an investor to appraisal. It was an appraiser to appraiser discussion. So Cliff and him actually had the same mentality, the same training, things that they had all that the exact same way. Now, guys, he did make that pivot. So how would you advise, Cliff, if someone encounters an appraiser that really acted like that appraiser did, right? How would you advise to kind of have a discussion and kind of have a voice of reason, a discussion with that appraiser?
I would probably have to try to have that discussion on the front end. And so before he even gets out there and saying, hey, I'm just letting you know this budget is based on getting new flooring, new walls, roof, all this kind of stuff. It's going to be completely updated. And here's the vision I have for what it's going to look like when it's completed. And so the appraiser is going to say, okay, now I have an idea. Because if you just give him basic information, you're letting his imagination determine what it is. And maybe his thought process is not the same as yours when you're doing those renovations.
Gotcha. That makes some sense. So now guys, let's look at get rid of that. The pictures. There's 3 sets of pictures. I'm gonna let you look at them. Here we go. This is within our system. I'm gonna make it bigger for everybody. And I'll put this down here. Here you go. Here are the pictures. This was the bathroom. Remember how the bathroom looked like trash? Here's the bathroom. This is phase 1. Notice how things look different. We have new everything now. I make it bigger for everybody. There we go. You see that, guys? You see that? Boom. Again, the flooring. You see how the flooring is different. It's different. This is phase 1. They're working. You see how it looks different, guys. These are workers actually working. You see a new paint job. You see all that going on. So you have work going on here, guys. Work going on. You see all this. Now, let's get going. Now, that is phase 1. Let me go back out real fast. Go back out. Let's go to phase 2. Let's go to phase 2. Go back here. Here's pictures of phase 2. Here's phase 2, guys. Now, look at the flooring. Different flooring now. Look at the flooring. Look at this. It looks a lot better than it was looking. Look at this. Now we got tile down there with a different type of flooring, wood flooring as well. Look at this. This is what's going on. All right. Now let's go to that last session, which is it's kind of like it's phase 3, guys, but we also do have a phase 4 as well also. So here's the outside. You can see the outside. There is the outside. There it is. That's a video of him walking. We're gonna do that. That's the front side of it. I don't like the pictures he actually took, but that was the house next to it as well also, right? Look at the inside now. Look at the kitchen now. The kitchen looks totally different than when we got it. Look at this. One of the bedrooms. Another one of the bedrooms. Another one of the bedrooms. So as you can see, guys, right there, you actually have things look a lot better than what it looked like in the appraisal report. But at the exact same time, what I really wanted to focus on, guys, is very simple, is being able to have good, constructive conversations with appraisers. And I like what Cliff actually said. You had the discussion up front, not after the work, because after he does the work, it's very hard to change an appraiser's mind. Am I right, Cliff?
Yeah, unless there's something dramatically wrong, it's very hard to change that opinion. That's why it's better to help formulate it on the front end, and be able to understand that. The other thing too is when you're looking at appraisals, you cannot deny the obvious. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I had one of the worst realtors give me comps that they thought for their home.
Okay.
This is probably a $500,000-$600,000 house, right?
Sure.
One of the comps was for 800,000.
Huh?
The other comp was for 775,000.
Okay.
The last comp was 400,000.
That's a whoa.
And I get these. Or I get ones that they'll go 5 miles away, but you have 2 sales on the same street.
Mhm.
And they'll say, well, I don't think those are similar. But they do give you some data. If it's on the same street,
Yes.
it's giving you information. You can't just deny that and go, well, this other house is more like my house.
Correct.
Right. But what's the most important thing in real estate? Location.
Correct.
So I'd rather make 1 or 2 adjustments to a house on the same street.
Correct.
And find a perfect model match 5 miles away.
Correct.
And what you have to understand is location's the most important piece.
Yes, it is.
The land value is. So if there's something that's moderately close, I'm going to select that if it's closer than finding a perfect model match 3-4 miles away.
Correct.
So stay local, stay in, and that's going to give you the most information right there. Right. And then you also have to be able to look at upgrades to the home. And people tend to think their home is always, well, my home is just as nice. It's not, because they don't understand the construction about herringbone type of construction style. They don't understand about the different tile types, whether it's granite or it's quartz or it's marble. They don't understand that those are different types of materials that have different type of values in different neighborhoods. So they always overvalue their properties, I tend to see.
I agree with that, Cliff. And Cliff, another discipline that I actually struggled with early in my career is whenever you are appraising a property, how far away from the subject property do you actually go to gather the comparables?
As far as needed.
Okay. Which means as far as needed. What do you start at? We start with a quarter, half, mile. What do you try to stay in between?
Everything. The standard is going to be under a mile. That's bread and butter. If it's under a mile, that's going to be easy. And really, you're looking for like 80% like kind, right? I mean, that's going to give. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be like kind. And the problem I see is people don't understand how to value like kind. They're bad at that analysis and looking at it. You'll be like, that's not even close to your house. That's not like kind. That house, it's got an elevator in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, but if it didn't have that elevator, it'd be the same. Like, okay.
If it didn't, like if it didn't, and if you had this in it, it'd be different. This if factor, man, come on, man. We got to be sensible. Like kind, square footage. What's the square footage that you stay beneath and above?
I mean, and that's the other part. So whenever you're looking at it, we're not going to look at exactly like your property. That's probably one comp. The other comp is finding one that's better than your property, slightly better, and you're looking for something that's slightly worse than your property, right? Because if people a lot of times will say, "Oh, my property's worth 500,000," well, the property that's slightly better than your property is sold for 475.
Okay.
How would I explain to a bank that a property that had better upgrades, slightly larger square footage, a pool in the backyard, is lower value than your home? They're gonna ask, how was that possible? Exactly. I get those questions from the banks. How did you, based on this, how did that property have more value when it has less features?
Correct, guys.
And you have to be able to explain yourself. You have to say it doesn't. The valuation has to be lower than that. So we're looking at all those different data points.
I agree, man. Guys, you guys got a master class from Cliff concerning appraisals, guys. I hope you guys took some notes on this one. I know this is not as spicy as past ones we've done or sexy, but this is where the money is made, knowing your numbers, right? From a acquisition as is standpoint, an ARV standpoint, after repair value standpoint, knowing how an appraiser thinks as well, also so that you actually acquire right as well, so that you can properly present your deal to the right lender like myself to fund your transaction. Know your numbers.
Yeah, and this one, this happens all the time. Is another one. Square footage. People will say, "Oh, my house is worth $600 a square foot, $300 a square foot."
Yeah.
So we look at probably 15 to 20 features. That is
Mm.
one data point. That does not give you enough information to say what your house is worth based off the square
Correct.
footage. What if you have different bathrooms? Like if your average home in the area has 4 bathrooms or 3 bathrooms and you have 2,
Yeah.
or if your average square foot in the area is 3,000 square feet and yours is
Yeah.
2,000,
Yeah.
then that price per square foot is going to be off.
Correct.
So you cannot just look at price per square foot and have
Correct.
that be a value. That's very small on the adjustments.
You can't do that, guys. It's real simple, guys. I hope this helped you guys out a lot to where you can begin to reasonably think this stuff through so that you can properly know all your numbers from as is, ARV, scope of work, and you can present those details up front to an appraiser so that you can actually get the value on. I'm a big proponent of even giving the comps that you may have pulled and the reason why you think these are kind of meet that the mentality is, hey, I pulled these for you. This is the reason why I thought it was this way. You may not agree, but this is what we use to renovate our property up to these standards. Oh, that makes sense. I'll try to take out of all assumptions from the appraiser. All assumptions, if that makes some sense.
Right. And they're gonna take that and they're gonna look at it and say maybe.
Real talk. That's correct.
Yeah, they're gonna
That's
say
correct.
maybe. We'll see. Because I've gotten some that, like I just told you, that it didn't make any sense. It didn't
Yeah.
even, and I get those sometimes. Or, the worst I've seen is really people who try to build amazing homes in the wrong neighborhood.
Oh, man, that right there gets on my damn nerves, mental. Your house is the biggest and the most extravagant in the neighborhood, and you're wanting the value to be X. You're like, wait a minute. You built this property in the wrong neighborhood.
I'm just dealt with that not too long ago where they thought their property was worth in the 700, 750. I'm at 650. And they say my house is the nicest in the neighborhood. And I said, right, you overbuilt.
Exactly.
It's too nice. Like no one you may have the nicest neighborhood. You have the nicest house in the hood. Who wants to live in the hood? Nobody. If they're gonna pay that price that you're asking for, they'd rather get a slightly less house in a better neighborhood.
Exactly.
Than overpay to pay your house in that neighborhood. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Again, knowing the geographic, right, and your target audience is one of the linchpins of buying the right way. The reason why we're buying in Jackson, guys, is we know where we're at. We know the houses that have been renovated. We know the condition of it, and we have a good extra strategy that meets our target audience. That's what we actually have, guys. So again, you guys got a master class on when it comes to understanding appraisals. And you get some bad appraisals sometimes, but being able to have those discussions with your appraiser up front, but also get counsel on what to really look for when buying a house so that you don't run into a bad appraisal. Now you'll get some situations to where you run into an appraiser that just smuggles in all these assumptions. Understand how you can have a discussion with the guy to say, or the woman to say, hey, how'd you come to this point? Let me know if I'm off. I'm open to it, and they'll talk to you. They'll talk to you. They don't mean to change their mind though.
Yeah, and like I said, just realize any sales that are close to you are giving you data, even if it's your property is 3,000 square feet and it's 1,500. Okay, well at 1,500 and the price, what is it telling you about the market? Did it sell fast? Did it sell over asking? How much did it sell for? All that kind of stuff is going to give you. So you can't just bypass it. Always remember, every piece of data is giving you something that's happening in the marketplace.
That is correct, guys. And again, Cliff gave you guys a master class on this, guys. So again, if you guys are wanting to reach out to Cliff to get some counsel, if you need his services for appraisals, guys, hunterappraisal.com. Again, hunterappraisal.com, guys. Reach out to Cliff. You get this exact same counsel. And if he's in your area, he can even perform the appraisal for you. But he gave you a master class on what you should be doing concerning appraisals and buying the right way from an appraisal standpoint. I'm more of a lender. And so I'm the one saying, Cliff, how did you get to this point? I'm the one he's probably talking to. He's talking to about the value. But I understand his mentality. I understand their mentality. So understand that, guys. Again, hunterappraisals.com. And also, guys, we have a sponsor, American Rounds, guys. American Rounds is the first AI-powered ammo vending machine, guys. Man, this is kind of blowing up like clockwork, guys. We're now in 5 states: Alabama, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Colorado, and Texas. We're now in 5 states, guys. 5. So, guys, we're exploding, guys. Before we end, guys, let's go and hear what they got to say, guys, and then we'll bounce out, guys. Here we go. Let's see what they got to talk about. Here we go.
American Rounds. We are in Pell City, Alabama at Fresh Value grocery store installing the first ever automated retail machine for ammunition. The stores were really the inspiration for it. I mean, they knew their customer base and they came to us and thought this would be a really good opportunity for their customer base. There's a lot of hunting community here in Pell City and thought that their customers would love an opportunity to be able to buy ammunition here at the store.
We're super excited to offer, what we think is the first ammo kiosk. We're always looking for ways to give our customer another reason to come visit our stores. Anything that we can do to help them make their shopping trips easier. Based on the feedback that we've gotten just from customers today, they are so excited about us having the ammo kiosk.
We're getting ammo!
One of the ways we're changing the landscape of ammunition sales is to make it more available. Being able to move into a place like a grocery store, supermarket makes it a lot more available to the public. But we're taking a different approach to it. Traditionally, ammunition is sold at outdoor type stores, your sporting goods stores, and it just sits on a shelf. It's very accessible. Because of that, there's a high rate of theft. But with our machines, as you can see here, we have a very secure automated retail machine. We're able to age verify. We scan a driver's license. It then takes 360 facial recognition for the purchase and matches it to the ID. So the machines really provide an opportunity for safe, affordable, and available ammunition sales.
There is no doubt that foot traffic will increase based on the feedback that we've gotten. And again, we're super excited not only to have it here, but in other locations in Fresh Value as well.
We're really excited about where we're going. We are going to continue to expand here in Alabama. We have a machine slated to go into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas. So over the next year, we're looking forward to, seeing these roll out all throughout the South and the Southeast.
Again, guys, it's American Rounds, guys. Find American Rounds on all platforms at American Rounds, or you go to AmericanRounds.com to find out when one of our vending machines will actually be in your store, your local grocery store, guys. All right, guys. And the good thing about it is we share no information at all with any local, state, or federal government. Nothing at all. So there's no need to be at all concerned about that at all. That information not shared at all. But if you want to say anything, man, before we get off, dope.
Nah, man. If you're in the DFW area, man, hit me up. HunterAppraisal.com. We're trying to expand out. We're talking about moving over to Houston here pretty soon. So we'll see about that. So if you're in the Houston area, just hit me up. Remember, you always one deal away from changing your situation.
Just one deal. Again, guys, HunterAppraisal.com. HunterAppraisal.com, guys. Reach out to Cliff, man. He'll help you out as much as he can, guys. But, guys, that's all we have for today, man. Cliff, man, it doesn't matter if it came night, ain't to be dog.
Man, we getting ready.
We're getting ready, guys. Well, man, go Mavs. You know how we ended every single time, guys, before you leave them while you can, baby. Oh, before I go off, guys, hey, guys.
Oh, yeah, you got to catch that.
Man, this right here, guys, with what we went over today concerning what the government is actually doing, concerning insuring secondary mortgages, which is the same play they did in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, which caused the debacle. This is going to be a prime time, guys, to get into real estate. I mean, this is a prime time, guys. So, guys, man, I would tell you, scan on the QR code or click on the link below in the description, guys, man. Join the Cash Flow Club, guys, man. You get trained by me and Cliff one-on-one, which will be pretty cool. We have monthly VIP meetings as well also, but you have on-demand training. And if the deal makes any sense, guys, I'll fund the deal, guys. I'll fund the deal. And Cliff and I help you put scope of work together as well also. So, guys, this is paramount. But, guys, that's all I have for today, man. Cliff, you know I'll be in it every time, baby. Before you leave and while you can, you see that thing, take that damn picture and give it to your mom and them. How did you about it? All right, guys. See you guys next time. Peace.
Bless God, give thanks. Bless God, give thanks. Bless God, give thanks. Big God, big grace.